Let there be a God and assume that, by free will, life was created. Let the process of life begin at time t equals 0. Let the current time be t equals t. Let the process of life have n stages of evolution. The starting point and the end point of each stage are irreverent. This is because the observer decides the start and the end stages, and there is no observation without the observer. The creation of the observer was the first choice in the dimension of creation known as consciousness. The dimension of consciousness has another dimension of existence known as the dimension of geometry. The origin of the dimension of geometry could be the first material creation by consciousness. The time it takes for a decision in the dimension of consciousness to be reflected in the dimension of geometry is known as karma, which is represented by t units of time. In the dimension of geometry, if an observer is seeking more details, it shall be created until there is a mismatch of perception among the masses of the population, and the cause and effect are altered in the collective perception. Let all the living entities in the dimension of consciousness be classified as the following genetic strains. Parasitic nature, X%. Non-parasitic nature, 100X%. The specific percent of X that is found in each individual, precisely the instant in the brain that more is needed for a later time. If the X% of the brain accumulates enough information to form another personality, it can blind the original personality in one way, shape, or form. This collective percentage of X personalities from each individual in the population will form a complex consciousness using these X individuals as computational nodes like neurons found in a brain cell. This complex personality could define any number of goals for the collective human life. Still, if chosen to be parasitic to feed off other individuals in one way, shape, or form, then a good description is the devil. Marriage of time contract. The purpose is to share time so that enough time is diverted to the growth cycle of the offspring. Gratitude is defined as the ability to live with grace and receive. Since time is the only declining currency, it is the most valuable thing to donate. To maintain the morality of time balance, the amount of time an individual receives in the form of attention during a lifetime must be balanced in the form of moral actions for the growth of another during the process of creation. The flow of creation was the preferred choice for God, evidenced by my presence at the current time t. The purpose of time is, then, the changing process of the creation flow from the current state to the target state, represented in the geometry dimension. The decision of the current and target states is made in the dimension of consciousness. The marriage of contract is signed in the dimension of consciousness, at the soul level, which extends beyond the dimension of geometry, which is limited to a finite period of time. The time of any individual is limited to t units of time, starting from birth to death. The currency of life is, therefore, time. Time spent on self, time spent on surroundings, other people such as friends and family, the specific genetic traits that define the behavior and characteristics passed down from genetic codes via one generation to the next define the ascension process on the evolutionary scale. Some of the most valued behavior codes are application of morality in the time of temptation in an individual's physical, emotional, and sexual form, the extent of willpower, the extent of responsibility, the extent of fear resistance. The most valued behavior codes are the ability to pass these codes to the next generation accurately to continue the creation flow. The marriage of a time contract ensures the codes of specific bloodlines are protected by carefully guarding the genes. Any immoral behavior during a lifetime of T units will weaken the genes that will eventually be passed down the creation hierarchy. Genes that are led by immorality will end the flow of creation, which could be observed with the global birth rates. The role of masculine and feminine in the marriage of contract. The masculine enforces the morality of the family created by the marriage of time contracts. The feminine ensures the maintenance of the offspring, ensuring that a minimum of time is used to nurture the offspring from the masculine and the feminine so that the appropriate behavior codes are passed to the offspring, which takes a duration of time from each. Any perception of marriage that goes beyond purpose, morality, and integrity is pointless, and the situation has to be evaluated with common sense at an individual level. Since the purpose of marriage was defined as a lifetime, there would be little point in redoing the process for any individual who has already requested to opt out after one marriage for non-survival reasons. 3.2.1 The components of behavior codes. Nutritional habits were developed for that particular family cluster. This could be interpreted as preserving the family recipes. There could be a correlation between the nutritional requirements of a specific family that has evolved through the geographical surroundings and keeping the family tree healthy. Morality habits define how an individual interacts with another individual, including the level of authenticity maintained in interactions. Purpose habits define how an individual finds a purpose for his time. When two families merge with bloodline rituals such as marriages, the appropriate set of codes has to be maintained for the new family being created. If both individuals have a set of favorite homemade foods, these recipes will be passed on to the next generation from that family tree. Similar rules apply to utilizing behavior and character codes within family units by conscious choice. The devil's plan is to corrupt the above three components of moral codes by rapidly bombarding the population with immoral behavior codes to change the masses' perception of the requirement to preserve morality. If morality is not preserved in each individual, then the percentage X from each individual that forms a node for the devil will grow, thus giving him more control of an individual's time. The additional time will then be used to create more suffering for other individuals, which will then strengthen his presence in the collective Homo sapien species. Therefore, the devil is a virus in the evolutionary chain that prevents the ascension process to the next stage of evolution, which gives an individual the ability to perceive things multidimension ally, which starts the mechanical process of developing consciousness to the next stage, commonly called as Christ consciousness. This process is the creation of a set of neural pathways in the brain that allow the perception of observation to be understood by all individuals involved, thus concluding the objective truth of reality itself, independent of perception.